Testing. I sound, yeah. I don't know if it's loud enough to get everyone's attention.
All right, how you doing? Yeah, that was a freak accident.
Okay, I believe it's the time. All right. We will call this meeting of the Palmer City Council to order for August 26, 2025 at 6:01 p.m. And just remind everyone to please put away or silence your cell phones if you have them. Or you have a lot of reverb.
Are you going to the whole city of Homer there, Mr. Mayor?
I don't know. Do we have all of these? No. So, call the roll, please.
Mayor Carrington,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Tudor, Councilmember Alcantara,
Here.
Councilmember Cooper, Councilmember Irby,
Here.
Councilmember Graver,
Here.
Councilmember Hudson. Here. Quorum.
Okay. And Councilmember Cooper, I understand, is on a plane, and when he lands, he will try to call him as well. All right.
We take a quick break to find
Take a quick break so we have that.
Their duties is assigned.
All right. Now, if everyone can stand, we will ask Mr. Molesky to lead us in the pledge. Okay, so next we have approval of the agenda. What's the wishes of the council?
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll for approval of the agenda?
Councilmember Irby,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tudor. Yes. Mayor Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson. Yes. Councilmember Graver,
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara.
Yes.
It is approved.
Okay. All right, switching microphones. Next we have communications and appearances. Well, I know we have at least one elected official, but I think she's part of the other presentation. So we have a 2025 Seroma trip presentation from our group that traveled to Sonoma. Which microphone do you want them to use, Mr. Molesky? So, our official ambassador, can you come forward, please?
I have a mic here. This one for you.
That one's,
Carl.
that's portable. That would be better.
And maybe if we could have our delegation come up in the front row, and then we can pass off the mic just to save time. So I know our pictures are behind you, and we're really showing you a picture tells 1,000, or one picture can tell 1,000 stories. So what we wanted to do is this, this 45th anniversary was, well, 45 years in the making, and we had an awesome opportunity to go over and represent the city of Palmer. And there were 23 of us. We have people who are sick today, Josh Tudor being one of them. But we're going to kind of share the mic. This was the slideshow that you see in the back. This was the 45th anniversary ceremony, and that was the first Friday, and that was our Palmer delegation. So if we could click, I'm going to pass it over. If we can, I'm going to pass it over to Tanya, who's going to give a little history.
So my name is Tanya Lang, and I am one of the history members of the group, along with my Aunt Sandy, who is out of town right now, but she'll have her presentation here. My grandfather, Edward Holmes, was the one of the founders of the sister city, him along with Hiro Ishiguro, which I think there they are right there. So there's my grandfather on the left, Edward Holmes, and then Hiro Ishiguro Sensei on the right. We were not able to see Hiro. He was not doing as well. But it started off with ham radio back in the late 70s and turned into the sister city exchanges that we have now. So there's Hiro and I 10 years ago. So my takeaways from the trip is just it's history, and for me it's family. So she's going to go back because she clicked through. So there's Hiro and I. That was 10 years ago. He's like my Japanese grandfather, and so going back and seeing people, I didn't get to see him, but he's part of it. On the right, that is actually me on the top photo on the right. The little blonde there in the pink, that's me, 8 years old, when I went with my grandfather in 1984. And that's in the mayor's office. And when we went this time, I'm looking at it, we're sitting there, the mayor's talking to us, and that is the exact same room, just a little bit different layout. So I had us recreate that photo again with the mayor, the current mayor. So again, kind of history going back to places. Lifelong connection. So on the left, it's Emmy, Emoti, and I, but it's her whole family, her husband Yukataka. That's me as a little girl on her lap at 8 years old. And then down below it is when I went there 10 years ago. And then to the left there, we're standing and hugging. We're always hugging. That's us just recently. And, we're 40 plus years of friendship. They've known me since I was a little girl. Hiro is my Japanese grandfather, and the Emotis are my Japanese parents. Yeah, don't go yet. Then in the upper right-hand corner, that little boy, Keishin, when I went over 10 years ago, I stayed with his family, and that's him again as 10th, year 10, is it? Yeah. And then just showing Nana is the middle one up there. She came over in junior high, and I knew her then. She came over when she was a high school student and stayed with me. She came over a few years ago in college and stayed with me as well. And so I got to see her. And then Yuko, the bottom right-hand corner, she is just the foundation in Japan of keeping the program going over there. She's the one that goes back and forth all the time with all the students. So mine was just a trip of just memories and seeing my family. And this is my Aunt Sandy, and the left is when we arrived. There we go.
Sandy Holmes Des. Good evening. My name is Sandy Holmes. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. As a part of the recent delegation to Soroma, my favorite part of the trip was attending the 45th anniversary celebration dinner ceremony, where my niece, Tanya Lang, and I were honored to address the audience of our sister city and talk about the legacy of where things began with an amazing friendship between my father, Edward Holmes, and his friend, Hiro Ishiguro of Soroma, Japan. Celebrating 45 years of this sister city partnership is a testament to both communities. Tanya and I gave a short speech about the history and legacy, with Tanya translating my words into Japanese for the audience. She did an amazing job representing Palmer, a community we both grew up in. And finally, it was so special for Mayor Takeda, who came to Palmer when he was younger, to make sure that he spoke with me to let me know that he met my dad on an earlier trip and how much he values our sister city connection. This was my first trip to Japan, and I was honored to serve with our delegation in celebrating and promoting this wonderful program. Thank you.
That is the city council if you look at the bottom picture. And each of them, it says, in the way, it's kind of like the city and the borough together, because the little placards that they're holding up says their position. So if you're head of health, you're head of the sewer system, you are head of the library, you are the mayor, you're the vice mayor. So, and 4, you guys remember what 4 is? 4 means there was, you'll see later, there was a fishing competition, and all of the delegates there tied for 4th place, and that was in the size of their fish. One thing I did want to, Tamai-san up top right was also the deputy mayor. That's he and his wife wearing the minors, and what's super cool with that is his son, Tamai-san, is the pitcher for the Major League or the professional baseball team Ham Fighters, Sapporo Ham Fighters. And so they had that baseball connection, so it was really cool that he brought them minors gear. Okay, Delana Johnson.
Thank you. Not really sure what all photos are up there, so, but I do want, I see someone caught me playing Pokemon, which was fun to go to the home of Pokemon there in Japan. I wanted to talk about a couple things with the Sister City program, just in general, and what is the Sister City program, you know, worldwide, and how it began. But Sister Cities were established after World War II to create a city-to-city relationships throughout the world, in hopes that we would never have another world war to the extent that we had in World War II. And so people would develop relationships, and so that's so in that way, this sister city relationship with the sister city in Japan, I believe, is just extremely valuable from a diplomatic point of view, because this is the only diplomatic piece as far as an international relation that that the city might have. So this is the 45th year. We missed 45th year of exchange. The 50th anniversary will be, you know, here in Palmer. The current mayor of Soroma had really hoped that they would be the ones that get to host the 50th anniversary, but because of COVID, they skipped, and so we are the ones that will be hosting them 5 years from now. So I'm just putting that out there right now. So 5 years from now, you can begin the 5 years from now. It'll probably take that much time to begin the planning, because it's such an amazing event. event, and it'll be a great opportunity to host folks. I wanted to, just on another long-term note, my husband and I, Steve, stayed with Mayor Hikita, and he came to Palmer when he was 18 years old to help install one of the monuments that's at the visitor center. And so he's just very attached to Palmer, very, very close, and very much looking forward to being part of Palmer for a long time to come. One of the things, I don't know exactly the favorite, because there were just so many wonderful things, and when someone appreciates you as much as they appreciated us in Seroma, it's such a beautiful thing, because they really care so much about Palmer. And sometimes I think maybe we don't realize the depth of that care and that relationship that they have with us, and they care about us. And so I just wanted to emphasize that. But one of the things that was really fascinating was going to the stadium. It's the Nippon Ham Fighters, which anybody that's a baseball fan knows that Satoshi Otani, which I got that all wrong, is considered one of the best players in the world, really, and plays for the United States. And he came from there. That's the most high-tech stadium in the world, so we got to see that. And we got to go walk down into the locker room. It was a fascinating experience. And because the deputy mayor's son plays for them, we were really treated super special. So all around, it was an amazing trip. I think, it's easy to say amazing, but it was a beautiful time. I know I put out, we had an art lesson from someone that's a world renowned artist that came to Seroma and give us that an art lesson. It was just those types of things that made it very special, very beautiful, and I just truly hope that this relationship will continue another 50 years. And I won't take up any more time, but there's lots to say, and I appreciate it.
And this is Steve. You took his time. Okay. You did. I can vouch for that, because whenever you're on a trip like this, you get a chance to know people. If you're on a bus for a number of hours in various other places together, and Steve had a great time.
I will, surprisingly, because I think he's a picky eater, he really liked Japanese food, and I'm pretty sure that I could maybe say his favorite stop was the Sapporo beer factory. I'm not sure.
And I wanted to point out, if you go back one just for a second, if you see Steve on the right-hand picture, that is at the Olympic Stadium, and that is the ski jump. What year did they host? 1976, and he was, or 1972. Okay. Mr. Lance Swick, you're up.
Hello. Well, what can I really say about Seroma? I guess the hospitality is the big thing. I don't think you could find another place on planet Earth that shows the hospitality that Seroma showed us. I mean, from day one when I showed up, my host family picked me up. We went out to national parks, we went to hot springs, we ate out dinner every night. You never go hungry when you're in Seroma, or thirsty, we found out. Don't empty your glass, because they will refill it on you. Once the rest of the delegation showed up, things shifted a little bit. I was there earlier, and they had so much planned for us that our days were busy, visiting the schools, visiting the city government, visiting the scalp industry, fishing. I had Sapporo for 3 nights. The hospitality, I just don't think you can get. And another thing, you cannot outgift a Japanese person. Trust me, I tried on multiple occasions. They would gift me, I would gift them back. I'd gift them back. You can't do it. It's impossible to outgift someone from Japan. Learned a lot about the town. Learned a lot about their culture. A lot of people learned firsthand how comfortable the Japanese futon is for a week. Luckily, I did not have to deal with that experience. But overall, it was a great experience, and I'm very very grateful for it. Look forward to seeing the Saroma guys show up in 5 years.
All right. Tamara is unfortunately not here tonight, but you're going to see in the next picture. She got to stay with the temple priest, and she is a local artist here. And our gift, which you'll see in a moment, we'll go to the next page. I think, yes, those were, the city of Palmer actually commissioned her in 2020 or actually would have been years before 2020, to do some original paintings for the 45th anniversary. And these are 4 paintings. She took the 4 seasons of Palmer, 4 iconic places. What is the one on the left? Where we are, the depot. The second one, Matanuska River with Pioneer Peak, the third one. Yep, our roots in farming, and the last one, the water tower. So the 4 seasons, 4 iconic places, and that was, and you will know they will go around Saroma, because we saw everywhere you went, you saw Palmer things. Okay, and Delana Johnson talked about Ambo Makoto. This is the gift that they sent to the city of Palmer, or they gave us. He is he's from Saroma. He was born in Saroma. He was there only as a baby, and then he moved, but he always calls Saroma his home. And this is an original art piece, nationally renowned artist, and the owl is one of his key symbols, and symbol of, in this case, that friendship, and he has a whole write-up on it that will be coming in the mail. I don't think it's arrived yet, but it is in the mail on its way. And he actually flew in. He flew in for the ceremony. And then in the next picture you'll see, this is amazing. We thought we were going to learn his art style, which is specific to him. It's ink art, but not it's its own style. But we didn't know that he was going to be the one teaching us the art class. So we thought we were just learning his style from a different artist, but he actually was the artist teaching us his style. So it was amazing. Mike Molesky.
Thank you. Everyone seemed to have somewhat the same experience. I could talk about food and other things that people have already mentioned, but there were also different experiences as well. I chose these because what we have here are a former mayor in the foreground, and it's the left shot, and then our host, who had actually 10 years ago visited here, stayed with us, and had the grand opportunity. We looked for something that he could do that would be memorable, and we discovered that walking the pigs was a memorable thing. At that time, my grandson happened to be involved with 4-H. They had a whole bunch of pigs and piglets, and each day they had to be walked. So E.G. was very, very pleasantly able to help us walk the pigs. So he remembers that as a personal experience. E.G.'s in the car there, and down below the third piece, there is a Zen center very close to where we stay, just outside of Saroma Park. And we were able to go there, visit, and that's Lee on the left there. She had the opportunity to ring the bell. It's a very large bell, and there's a process for doing that. Next slide, please. Lee and I on the left, and in the middle, we went off to visit a place. And now, when you're with this group, you have opportunities to do things that are different. Some people went off with a group, whoever their host was, one place or another. And we happened to go on a trip that took us to a nearby area that we visited 15 years ago. Very sulfur-oriented place. Just an amazing, amazing place that we had visited. And then as we traveled about, as you can see the group there, we were able to stay at a number of restaurants. Down below, there's an event that happens at night called bun dancing, And that's Lee dancing. A number of members of, I think Delana, I didn't get yours. I thought I saw you out there. But it's a very, very interesting dance process that goes on. Are there others there? I'm speaking for Lee as well because she's out of town today. Now, one of the things that we did in addition to being in Soroma, we flew down to Hiroshima, and I have to tell you that Hiroshima is almost a must-see be place. And it's not about seeing so much. You can look at pictures of both destruction that occurred at the end of the Second World War, but to be there is indescribable. And we were able to do that. And then we took a bike trip, and this is the last of the bridges. We rode our bikes over 8 bridges that connect a series of islands in an area that's about 75 miles out of Hiroshima. Very beautiful area, a lot of rural areas, small cities, and so on. But I think that's the part of this whole trip. And I know there were people who speak to the time they spent before going to Soroma and others that were after, but that's part of it. And this is one of the memorials there in Peace Park in Hiroshima. Okay.
Josh Rocky. He is in Washington right now, but we'll see if this picks up.
Palmer City Council, thank you for the opportunity to go to Japan as a member of the delegation of the Soroma Kayak Exchange. And my name is Joshua Rocky, and I have been the principal of Swanson Elementary School. As a member of the delegation, it was wonderful to spend time with my host family, the Sasakis. We drew a great bond together and connected in many different ways, eating different foods, experiencing new cultures. I also really enjoyed and had my eyes open to the educational world as we were able to tour the schools, and I was able to speak on behalf of education from Alaska compared to that in Japan. Again, appreciate the time. We spent a great time hiking and learning of new cultures, and I look forward to doing it again and supporting the Soroma program. Thank you.
And that is the Ozakis, the middle of this. This says wife. It was nice to have a doctor on board too. So, when we had our elements, we were talking about food. That was where Steve Johnson said his favorite meal was the Sapporo Beer Garden. And you eat and eat and eat. It's barbecue style. Okay, Bob Thom.
Yes, okay. We've been in business up here, Maryland and I, for over 50 years right here in Palmer. We don't live right in the city, but we're very close. And we did the other trip back 15 years ago to Soroma and found out agriculture was very big over there. And the people really appreciated it. And the now mayor that they have is one of their commercial pumpkin growers. Anyway, it's kind of a nice thing to see that there was some agricultural over there, and there's a lot of it. And their crops just look perfect. They haven't got no weeds around the edge of the fields, nothing. Just looked like a picture's farm.
I just want to show, if we go back one, Bob Thom was the winner of the fishing contest. He took first place, biggest fish.
Good evening. We had a wonderful time in Japan. It was really nice to connect with old friends. We stayed with the Hoshibas 15 years ago. 5 years later, we hosted them here in Palmer. 5 years after that, we hosted Mayor Takeda. And now 10 years later, we were able to go back and stay with the Hoshibas again. And one of the highlights for me was that fishing trip. I didn't know whether I even really wanted to go fishing, but thinking about the weather and stuff, it was a beautiful sunny day. And we were not only fishing, but we were catching. there was lots of excitement on the boat as everybody yelled, "Got one." And we didn't have to bait our own hooks. So I filled my cooler with flounder and puffer fish, and a couple flounders kept trying to jump out of that cooler. Even when we got to the bus, he still wanted out. And the other thing, I was totally amazed by that Ham Fighters baseball stadium. It was, I don't even really know how to explain it. It was so huge, really, really accommodating for all the players, and it was just amazing. I would love to see a game there sometime. We had so many fun activities on our day off. We spent the day with past Mayor Horry and his wife Lusaka. We had a beautiful dinner there at their, I have a lovely home on Lake Seroma. And there were just so many activities, the shrines, the schools, everything. It was all just great. I'd like to thank the city of Palmer for making this trip possible, and all the individuals that worked so hard to make this a special and memorable event.
Good evening. My name's Becky Williams, or Rebecca Williams. I had the opportunity to go to Seroma. I was the last one in my family who actually had got to go to Seroma. My daughter went, Sean's gone, and then finally I got to go with Sean. And we stayed with the Miyazaki family. Mr. Miyazaki is the high school principal, and his wife Yuka is she's one of the special education paraprofessionals over there. And what I really loved about being able to spend our time together was that we talked a lot about schools and school systems and change. As the principal of the high school, they're from Hokkaido, which is the prefecture, and he and his wife have to move every 2 years to a new location, to a new school. And so we talked a lot about how do you create change in such a short amount of time, and how do you move forward with education for students. And I really, really enjoyed that. Down on the right is Kristen Mayer. She is the current ALT. Over in Seroma, she teaches English as an aide, and she's from Palmer. I don't remember what year she graduated, but it's fun. She's my neighbor, so it was really great to see her.
2020.
Oh, 2020. So that was a lot of fun as well. And then Sean and I in the baseball stadium that people talked about, but really, you should go. It was amazing. And then just talking about, they were talking about, in this picture, that's the superintendent of schools, the local, so elementary and middle school, and he was talking about how they're changing their teaching practices. Japan has a national curriculum, but he wants it to maintain the national curriculum but bring more local emphasis in to that, and then how to meet students at their individual level, as opposed to giving everyone in a grade level the same curriculum, but really trying to differentiate to the students' needs. So it was fascinating, loved it, and then
Can I add one, or can we go back just one? One challenge that, and this is not just Rome, this is Japan, is a declining population. And I think we've been having that in the States too. But, if you're not having babies, your population's not growing, and then you have a lot of rural young kids moving to the cities. So you'll notice, they've had since, I think, is it 2015, 35% drop, but that's because their population is declining. So that is one of their challenges. And those are their Hama Seroma, Seroma Elementary, Seroma Middle School, and then Wakasa.
so school. Then the other thing that happened is the high school had a ceremony for their being sister cities. sister schools exchange, and that was a wonderful opportunity. Mr. Rocky gave the presentation from the school district to their school as well, and it was just an awesome presentation by their students and coming back and forth. And some of their students are coming in a week and a half.
That was the 35th anniversary. And we were there for their school festival. And each class creates their own hand-painted banner.
And we got to eat their food and their lunch. That was in Japanese style, so they brought it to us. They served us. And then their meals are amazing and very fresh and locally made with ingredients from the local area. So it was a lot of fun to go through and experience that. And then I'll pass it on to Sean.
Thank you, Palmer City Council, for supporting this delegation trip. I'm Sean Williams, and I teach at Sherrod Elementary School. The pictures that represent, a lot of the activities already alluded to, mentioned. And for me, I don't know what's on the next slide. I have no idea. Okay, go back. My particular enjoyment visiting Seroma is that I got to visit the elementary school twice, actually. Spend a little bit of time interacting with students. Sherrod Elementary is a sister school with Seroma Elementary School, and that relationship is important to us. We embed it in our curriculum as much as possible. We introduce it. We try to build cultural ties between the students at Sherrod and the students in Seroma. And it's the hook by which we try to get young students involved early who later on perhaps go to Seroma as middle or high school students or become a part of the city organization. The language barriers are there. There's all sorts of cultural barriers, but kids in particular find ways to go around those. Everyone speaks Minecraft, so that is a powerful. Kids can make connections in a lot of ways that adults don't necessarily naturally do so. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I became first knowledgeable about the Sister City programs, Sister School programs, right around 20 years ago. And I have been involved at various levels. As a First Lady, I went in 2010 with my husband, while he was the mayor, to the 30th anniversary celebration in Seroma. I also served, while I was on City Council myself, then in the next 9 years or so, at various functions at the Japanese embassies, represented the city. I've gone every single year to the sister schools, exchange potlucks, etc. I really thoroughly enjoy that relationship as well. I was really excited about going on this trip. I had planned on being there in 2020, which got canceled. At that time, I was the deputy mayor. So fortunately, I wasn't the deputy mayor this time, so Josh got to make the speeches, not me, which was just fine with me. But I've been thinking a lot about this, and for me, going to Seroma this time was like going home. When you drive from Anchorage to Palmer, you know those special spots on the Glen Highway where you see certain things and you go, I'm almost home. And that's the way I felt on the bus the day that we pulled into Seroma. I recognized many of the landmarks from when I had been there 15 years ago. It was just an awesome feeling. I was able to stay with the Kiwanis Mayor Kwani, well, he was the mayor when I was there 15 years ago, and Mayor Horry, who I had met many years before that, was at our table at the main celebration, which was just awesome. Um, I did go because I had a slightly separate schedule for flights and everything. I did do a couple of different things, so I missed the baseball stadium, but go ahead and don't feel sorry for me because I got to go to Pinocchio's house and meet Mickey Mouse, as you can see in the picture. My host took me to a special museum in a nearby city that is dedicated to wooden toys. It was, I call it Pinocchio's house. I know that's not the proper term, but that's okay. So we had a great time. The one picture up above there of the dinosaur, that's another common site, or that's a site that I remembered from 15 years ago when I was able to go on the trip into the mountains along with Mike and Lee, their host family, and my host family. We had a great weekend, but we saw some of the things we had seen before, and I felt kinship with the dinosaur. So to travel with this particular group was awesome. I got to continue friendships that I've had. I got to make new ones. And I can tell you that Carla's correct. We will be starting getting prepared for the celebration in 5 years because 5 years is nothing. This is such a special relationship. Every single person in Palmer should know about it, like every single person in Seroma does. I can tell you right now, you do not walk down the street without someone in Seroma saying, "Ah, Palmer." They know about it. They care about it. We need to continue to care back, and I'll be more than happy to help with that.
Well, Jack Horner. My wife was selected for the delegation 5 years ago and skipped out on it for some reason. But we got picked to go again this year, and I got added to the roster. I was not sure what to expect, but I was absolutely dumbfounded. It was, well, I had no idea what to expect. But it was a beautiful place, wonderful people. What Linda said about people just seeing you and knowing who you were and what you were about was very true. We actually stayed about 15 miles out of town in a little fishing village on Lake Seroma. And on our last night, we just decided to walk by the lake and see the sunset, and the local fishing family pulled us in, and that's her story. So I will just pause. So sorry about that. So I guess I'm just going to pivot to food. About the only thing I can say is curry cheese donuts. It was amazing. Actually, one of my other highlights is we found out later that they were just having what they were calling a beer party, and it was just it was actually held at the train museum that is their equivalent of a depot. They have an old train out front, and they cordoned off an area and had just this absolutely amazing party from all of the local youth group, which for Japan, youth group means young professionals between the ages of 20 and 40. But it was really absolutely amazing going there and seeing the people. That's about it. Oh, once again, curry cheese donuts.
I am Laura Sampson. I was on the 2020 delegation, which obviously we didn't have happen. If you click back one, we actually commissioned an artist to make us these little stickers, and on it is Momo-chan, which is like their kind of, what would you say? It's like their mascot. Yeah, and so we actually created like a little cabbage chan to go with it. So we brought some stickers for you guys. So I'm gonna finish Jack's story because that's what Carla asked me to talk about. We stayed out on Lake Seroma, and it was just fabulous. And one night we went for this long walk. That's our host family, the Aves, and yeah, they were wonderful. Every morning there would be fresh seafood on their porch, like scallops and shrimp and amazing things that I don't know if they ordered them or they just had them delivered, but you are never hungry in Japan, ever. On our last night, I'll finish that story because it's just so amazing. We went out for this walk. We were supposed to be packing, and the sunset was just gorgeous. And so we walked down, and we walked past a little garage, and there was like a family in there grilling their dinner. And I just said, "Come on, Juan." We went walking on, and we heard the word beer. And we were like, "Oh, no, we're fine. We watched the sunset, beautiful." And pretty soon, like 2 minutes later, the guy comes out and he's carrying this bag, and he's like, "I know who you are. Take these to the Aves." And they were sea snails, like they were massive bag of sea snails, and we're like, "Okie doke." And so we finish and we turn and leave, and again, I just thank them so much for their gift and to take it to the Aves, and they're like, come in for beer." And we're like, okay. And just so friendly, so wonderful. And about 2 minutes later, they made a phone call, and our host family showed up, and we sat in people that we don't even know who they were. We don't know what we were celebrating, and we were drinking and grilling, and they had they were eating sea snails by chopsticks, and they had steak on the grill, and we stayed for like a half an hour, and it was so fun. And we left, our host family stayed and continued to drink. But the friendliest, most wonderful people, and just such a good time.
Hiram.
Good evening. My name's Hiram Prendergrass. I just came back from Japan yesterday. I was in Seroma for 3 months this summer, and so I want to point out that there's one people who'll have to. What's on the next slide? Thank you. This one. Briefly, I'll just explain what the ALT is. Assistant Language Teacher. Over 35 years ago now, Seroma, the town itself, decided to include in their budget money to have somebody from Palmer come over and help teach English in their schools. Oh, Carla was the first person, and I think Kristen Mayer was mentioned. She's the one all the way to the right in green coat. I think she's the 11th or 12th person from the Valley doing this. So
George Cartier was the second.
George Cartier was the second, and I was after George. So I was there from 2000 to 2002. But this almost represents, I think, really the 4 decades. Carla was there in the 90s. I was there in the early 2000s. Brenna, to my left, she was there in the 2010s. Now Kristen's there in the 2020s. So representing 4 decades of Palmer helping teach English in Seroma. And they care enough about food. But if you go, the one thing I shared at our farewell barbecue with everybody is that my favorite part of the trip was just observing everyone falling in love with Japan. And if you have the chance to go, I know you will too.
And I'll just add, Kristen was a delegate. She was a student delegate when she was in high school, and now she's over there teaching. And Brenna is teaching up in Fairbanks now, but I will play what she said.
Hello, my name is Brenna Kennecker, and I was the assistant language teacher in Seroma from 2015 to 2018. A huge highlight of the anniversary trip for me was seeing many of my former students and their families. I loved hearing about what everyone was up to and seeing what fantastic adults they've become. Seroma has produced accountants, firefighters, bioengineers, early childhood educators, farmers, and so much more.
that, and I would say ditto to everything what everyone has said. I just wanted to point out the top right-hand picture that is with George Cartier, and that was the first year I went in 1987. And yeah, it has been amazing. One of my highlights is, if you go right underneath, it was at the ceremony, but this woman came up and she showed me this on her phone. She had, you know, it was probably posted 15 years ago, but she said, the man on the left is my grandfather. Or maybe it was a great-grandfather. And he's 99 years old, and he was in the old folks' home in Seroma, so he was not healthy enough to come to the ceremony, but he wanted to send his greetings. And he was, I think at that time, he was on the city council when, you know, in 1987. So we did a video message. We recorded it, and then she took it to him in the hospital that weekend and played things from the ceremony. So that was really awesome. And you may know I love Seroma so much, I bought a house, and that is my house in Seroma on the left. And Hiram built me steps this summer. I will just quickly go that the map that they made for us. And if you don't know, Palmer also has a sister church. Notice it is also wood. They took the Church of 1,000 Logs, and they actually used that. They built their church after they saw our church. That is Lake Seroma, which is the third largest lake in all of Japan, 60 miles in circumference, and it goes to the Okhotsk Sea. There you kind of get a side view. You mentioned we got to go, I had never done this before, but we actually got to go and tour the scallop industry. That is one of the big industries in Seroma. We saw them taking the scallops from the boats, bringing them into the factory. And that is where they're pulling out the scallops from the shells. And then they are drying them. And you'll see, oh, do you guys remember, I think one of those boxes, $2,500, $2,500 for one of those boxes of dried scallops. Yep. This is one of their facilities. It's called STAR, Seroma's Training Athletic Room. I won a contest 30 years ago, and that's the name of it. But you'll notice they've got martial arts, a swimming pool, workout station. If you look on the right, can you tell what that picture is? It's the city of Palmer. It covers their whole wall, and that was a gift from the city of Palmer, I think, in 1996. And it's an aerial shot of Palmer in 1996. We got to go and practice Zazen at the Seroma Temple. That was the stadium VIP tour, thanks to the deputy mayor. Lots of food. The fishing trip, that you'll see, that was the ranking who won, and we know Bob Thumb won. That's a puffer or a blowfish in the middle. Yes, that is Aki, who spent 2 months with the city like many in the 90s. Yeah. Yes, and that is the stadium you're talking about. It's it has a what do you call it? A roof, yeah, a track roof. Built 2 years ago. And next, you never go hungry in Seroma. And I'm going to invite Jack and Laura to come up for our final slide. They have a story to tell you.
Actually, I think Jack goes first.
And this is our final slide.
We're going to talk for, like, what, 2 hours?
2.5, maybe.
We're going to make it short and sweet.
So when Laura was selected to participate in the delegation in 20, we had just opened Palmer Folk School. Learning that the delegation wanted to take a gift Laura thought of a previous piece of art that I had done, a plaque for Birch Tree when it opened. We were founding parents there. She thought that with enough lead time, we could create a bronze plaque to give as a gift. Little did we know that would be 5 years of lead time. And then I joined the delegation. Designing the plaque was on me. Laura suggested it include elements that both cities share. Seroma has the lake, we have the Kinnick Arm, both have long grass, low sunlight in the sunset, and water leading to the ocean. The inscription was written by the Palmer Seroma Kai group and translated by Yuko. And once the design was settled on, I got to work.
So I didn't do a lot of the design. Jack is the designer. I'm the hustler. So that sounds bad. The initial design was hand-drawn by Jack and then redrawn and refined on his computer. Once we received approval for the artwork and the translation, Jack began working on the actual plaque creation. And just for a timeline, we didn't get approval on the wording until, April of this year. So it was a crunch, and we were very worried about it. So all the letters and some of the grass were 3D modeled and printed in resin. They were then attached to a hardboard, which was coated in wax. Now stay with me, this is complicated. It was coated in wax, and the rest was hand sculpted out of wax. The next step is to make a silicone mold of the entire plaque. And from there, 6 wax models were cast, and the best of them were coated in ceramic. They were fired in a kiln to harden them and melt out all the wax. Then molten bronze was poured into the mold, and once cooled, the ceramic was chipped off, the bronze piece was cleaned up, and a patina was applied. So easy, right? So that was our gift to Seroma.
But wait, it has a child.
So
We didn't tell anybody, but we made one for.
can you come
for
up here,
Palmer as well.
please? Mayor Carrington. So.
Watch out.
Thank you for your incredible attention. And thank you so much for supporting this program for 45 years. It really is, I think, one of the best gifts that Palmer has. Arigatou gozaimashita.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That concludes our report. All right. So now, I don't know, say, do we need to take a quick break? Sure, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll hear from our auditors.
How did you pull this over? It's sticking on my sweater. You know me and my sweater. I know, right?
Just like me, just like me. And we will, I think the council and
Benji?
Oh, as long as you don't take too long.
For the what? Oh.
I know. Taking all of my daughters who's supposed to be teaching.
I already tried. It's too big. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Oh, yeah, no. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We do Catholic Tuesday, do pumpkins, that's what I was
So we'll, there we go. Come back to order. And I believe we have auditors here to talk to us about the 2024 audit presentation with Joy Mariner. I don't know.
Maybe
There you
that's
go.
on. So I'm not really sure how to follow that. What a cool experience. Kind of makes me want to move to Palmer before 5 years from now when everybody comes, so I can be part of hosting the next reunion. That's a really cool thing, a cool relationship. It's been fun to hear about it. This is not nearly as exciting. I don't have any conversation about food or fishing or anything. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Joy Mariner. I serve as the lead partner on the audit for the City of Palmer. I'm going to give you the very high-level overview. You've had some time in your packets to review this information, and as usual, your team has done an excellent job on the financial statements, and the audit went very smoothly. So I think this will be a fairly straightforward conversation. Really, I work for you as City Council and ultimately for the citizens of Palmer to ensure that the financial reporting you're receiving and that is produced by your team is accurate and materially accurate and properly presented to you. So we have a couple of handouts, and they should be in your packet. One is the audit results, which have an eagle here on the front. And the other is the City of Palmer basic financial statements. Mine are bound, yours are in your packet. So this starts on page 4 of your packet. The financial statements start on, well, page 27 or so of your packet. So if you're trying to reference that, I'm going to try to use your page numbers as I refer to this. But I do not plan to go through all 156 pages of this document. I'm going to give you the highlight version and communicate the things that I think are important for you as a council to know about and to potentially follow up on as you move into this next year. I'd like to start with just audit results, and I'm going to flip through to page 10. The overview and the status of the audit. The main thing on this page is to know a couple things. We did issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's a clean opinion on the financial statements that says that we believe that the financial information is presented fairly in all material respects. This is what you as a council should want to hear, your citizens should want to hear, your granting agencies are looking for. It's a really important item there. And we also include in this your schedule of expenditures of federal awards, which is also a clean opinion on that schedule. That is part of your packet because you receive more than $750,000 of federal financial assistance. That threshold's going up to $1 million next year, but primarily related to your various different grants. It's been FAA for a few years. We had COVID money coming in, so you've hit that threshold consistently for the past few years. One thing I want to point out next is on page 12. As part of our audit, we look at certain areas more closely. You do have a small team. They're doing the work of more people than you have on staff. I'll just say that. They do an excellent job. You have very strong controls and checks and balances in place. But we do look very carefully at what we call segregation of duties. Are there enough different set of eyes looking at things? You don't have one person who's approving a check and paying the check. And then there's also risk that from your grant revenue, there's complications around your grant revenue. But I'm happy to report at the bottom of this page, you can see there were no adjusting audit corrections this year, audit adjustments, there were none. And there were no adjustments that we passed on, we identified that the team did not correct. So the financial information you received for 24, this is, it's 8 months after this year end, but the information you received did not require adjustment. The financial statements were accurate. Gina runs through financial information through to you as the council. There's some level of reliability in that. We don't audit your monthly financial information or quarterly information that you receive, but the fact there were no audit adjustments means that Gina and her team are keeping the books and records clean throughout the year. Let's cover a couple quick things. So on page 14, we do look at your internal controls. This is kind of an important part of the audit. Do you have the right systems in place, checks and balances to make sure things are working? I mentioned approval of an invoice, for example. Same thing with timesheets or approval of contracts. Are those controls operating so that at the end of the day, financial statement is correct? And it's not just about, one person maybe could steal money, although it's good to have two sets of eyes for accountability, but it's also just error. You don't want to have one person who has control over everything. And so we did not identify any findings related to the financial statements, no items to report to you related to internal control, significant issues on the way the financial records are being kept throughout the year. We do note one item I just bring up every year, that you do have one person who has administrative level access in your IT system. This is very common in Alaska, and that's actually outlined on the next page. This is consistent with many years here at the city, barring hiring additional staff where you don't require that access. Our recommendation there is that you continue good controls to check that work on the back end that are already in place. For example, city manager review of bank account activity, those kinds of things. But I will just note that this administrative access is just to the IT system. There is segregation of duties with actual cash coming in the door, cash going out the door, not a control issue there. Let's pivot to talking about compliance. That's on the next two slides. And we did identify one area for improvement. It's on page 17. This year we audited 2 grants. And I'm just going to quickly refer back so I don't name them incorrectly. I know what they do, but let me just give you the context. So 2 of your grants were audited. One is your, it's called Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Program. I'll call it the opioid program. We audited that one. That was newly audited this year. And then we also audited your ARPA money. That's the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. No issues were noted on the ARPA money, and that was largely spent down in 2024. So the other grant's a new grant to Palmer. It's the opioid grant. We did identify, so when we do our compliance testing, we do have to test not just was it spent properly, but also were the reports filed properly, all these activities were being performed. And there were 2 areas related to the way these monies were spent that we are reporting to you here. I want you to know there were no issues with the money going out the door. And this program is a really cool program. We got to sit down. I was here in person in Palmer. We got to sit down with the program manager and hear what it's doing. It's really making an impact in the community for really good things. But you're working with various different agencies. I don't want to necessarily name them here, but really good agencies that are doing the boots on the ground work to really help with substance abuse. And so those monies are passed through to those agencies, and there's a committee that meets to talk about who they're serving, how they can work together, make sure those things are done right. So there's no issue with the way the money was spent. There's no issues with the way the activities are being monitored. And there were no issues with any of the performance reporting or financial reporting on those grants, on that grant. The issue has to do with the fact that there's these very specific government rules around when you pass money through to a subrecipient. So it's not a contract, it's a subrecipient, and as most of these are nonprofits, they actually report those as grants they receive from the city of Palmer. That comes with a specific wording and a grant agreement you have to give to them, and a report you then file with a federal agency. So that is being corrected by your team. Those subrecipient award information was not fully provided to those agencies, although because they were involved in the grant at such a minuscule level, I will just say that they knew about it. They were reporting it properly on their end. So this is a paperwork issue, and your team's been working to correct that here over the next cycle. So I think the goal is to have that corrected here in the next month. So those are the two items with reporting it to the federal government and making sure those subaward agreements were in place to cover that. I will just say that this is pretty common when there's a new grant, especially something that provides such an important service to the community. People are focused on what are you doing, how are you spending the money, what are the outcomes. Some of the paperwork sometimes gets left behind. So our recommendation there is just when there's a new grant, I'd ask you as the council to be asking those questions. Do you have the right resources to do the right reporting? Are there any federal requirements we haven't considered, either before that grant's approved or as it's going on and you're getting those performance reports? Any questions on that before I turn over to the financial information? Okay, great. So let's cover just a few highlights in the financial statements. Again, 156 pages. I'm not going through very many of them. But I'd like to start just to show you what's in here on the table of contents. This is on page 29 of your packet. There's our auditor's report I mentioned was a clean or unmodified opinion. There's also a management discussion and analysis. And I'd encourage you as a council member to read this. If all you do is look at some of the tables in there and the changes from last year to this year, and read some of the narrative that Gina's drafted, we don't prepare that information, we don't audit every detail in there, but we do check to make sure the numbers tie. This is really going to be more like an annual report for your city. What actually changed from last year? What are the new things that happened? And then you have your basic financial information and required information. You'll notice on the next couple pages of the table of contents, there's a lot of additional information. Keep in mind, this is one of those things that sticks around. Probably 50 years ago, you probably could find the audit report from, well, maybe 30 years ago. Somewhere hidden in Gina's office. So it's good to have this historical information. If somebody just wanted to know, okay, how much were we, receiving in police grants from 10 years ago, you could look up that detail based on the information that Gina's included in the statements. And then all of your federal single audit information, which we've already covered in terms of results, are also included in the packet. So let's look at a couple of financial statement highlights. Page 16 and 17 on the statements. It's page 48 and 49 in your packet. I'll give you a second to get there. I'm a paper person, so I see some of you moving around in paper. It's easier to see these actually if you can see both statements at the same time. But this is your statement of net position. So this shows you on December 31st of 2024 what you owned in assets, what you owed to others, that's liabilities. What's left over is what we call net position. So if you're a for-profit business owner, these are the things you own, the things you owe to others, and then your equity essentially is your net position. Assets, you'll notice your largest category of assets is, there's two main ones. One is your capital assets. Those are the buildings and the actual infrastructure that you own. You can't really sell that, or, well, I think in theory you could. It would be difficult, but you couldn't provide the services to your city without them. And then you do have cash and investments. Some of that are dedicated for various different things. And that also represents largely a lot of the working capital that you need in order to run a city. Then when you go to liabilities, these are things you owe to others, fairly consistent. Accrued leave, for example, we call that compensated absences. But the big items here are your net pension liability, which as part of the PERS state system, you cannot pay that off in advance. And then you have long-term debt. There's no new debt this year. Most of your debt, actually all of your debt, true debt, is related to water and sewer. So you have your revenue bonds and your loans. You did pay off about $90,000 in bonds this year, continue to pay down those loans, and no draws on new debt in the current year. Let's cover a couple of highlights on the activity for the year on page 53. That's page 21 of the printed report, if that's what you're looking at. This is going to give you more of the story. So instead of showing you what you owned and owed at one date, this is telling you what happened throughout the year. Really just with your general fund being your major fund here, the general fund had $16.55 million of revenue, That was above budget by about $132,000, I think largely related to sales tax increases from the prior year. I was just at the fair last weekend, so I think it's going to be a banner year in 25. There were a lot of people there. Total expenditures of $14.7 million, and that was below budget by about $900,000 last year. And overall change in the fund balance this year, with transfers being exactly what you approved as a council, change about $858,000 down. But you did budget for a $1.9 million decrease in fund balance. Now, I don't like to call that a loss because it's a decrease in fund balance. Some of that obviously was intentional because you were budgeting for that loss, for that transfer as you invest in your capital, as you invest in your utilities. And the other thing I'll note, if you can go back just 2 pages to page 51 of your packet, it's page 19 if you have it printed. Fund balance is something you talk about. I know I read your council minutes. So fund balance is important when you're budgeting. How much money do you need in fund balance? Are we financially and fiscally healthy? Fund balance is what's at the general fund level, what's sitting there that's, essentially left over as you're carrying forward from year to year. That doesn't mean it's really wise to spend it down to nothing. So you have about $8.3 million in what we call unassigned fund balance. That represents 6.8 months, just between 6 and 7 months of total expenditures, not including transfers, not including subsidies for any of the enterprise funds. That's just expenditures. And I would say, from a healthy perspective, I like to have my cities anywhere between 4 and 9 months, just depending on when your money's coming in the door. A lot of your money comes in the door in the summertime, so there are some slower months that you weather waiting for that to come in. So I just want to let everybody know that number, and it is fairly consistent with where you've been in the past. And then the last page I'll cover is on page 57, which is page 25 of the printed copy. And this is the same statement as we look at it related to the enterprise funds. We call them proprietary funds. I believe it's refuse, that's your non-major one, and the golf course probably. So I'm not going to talk about those because they're non-major on here anyway. I'm sure everybody cares a lot about their garbage pickup. But when you look at the water sewer fund, I will note there you'll see your total change in net position. The water sewer fund is the positive $38,000. It's kind of hard to look at that number though. Operating income, you're operating at a loss, and that's because you're not budgeting for full depreciation. Now, if you look at budget, your operating budget, you were actually about $180,000 almost above budget. You were doing better than budget by about $180,000, which is great, but that's because you're not budgeting for depreciation. Overall, total capital contributions of $1.2 million. This is why you're not budgeting for full depreciation. A lot of the water sewer systems in the city have been funded by grants. And so it's reasonable not to expect your users to pay everything. What we don't know is 20 years from now when those systems are deteriorating, are there going to be grants to cover their replacement? And there are lots of options for doing that, but I just always like to point that out. Just overall above budget, but still operating without full recovery of depreciation and use of those assets. And then the airport is a little bit different, but close. They're actually overall $31,000 below budget, so a little short, but still fairly close to budget. Also not budgeting for depreciation. The airport is really affected by FAA grants and a lot of capital contribution from FAA. So to expect the airport users to cover that, I don't think I see that anywhere in the state. Maybe at the international airport in Anchorage, but otherwise it's fairly uncommon for the user fees to cover all of the replacement cost as well. Otherwise, I just want to point out that if you have more questions, Gina is always available to answer them. But I also, there are notes in the statements that cover a lot of very detailed information. So if you have a question about debt or capital assets, there's more data in there for you to look at it. Use it as a reference and keep this nearby for when people ask you questions about the finances of the city. But I am happy to answer any specific questions that you might have from your review. But with that, I just want to finish and just say congratulations again to Gina for a great year. Solid financial and information, clean opinion, and no journal entries. So just really solid audit process. We were very on time. I think we're essentially done by the middle of June this year, and we're just really waiting on resolution of those grant items. So as always, an excellent job by your team, and I want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Does council have any questions? And I should also comment, I think Councilmember Cooper joined us during the Seroma presentation. So does Deputy Mayor Tudor or Councilmember Cooper have any questions? Okay.
I would like to say a big thank you to Joy and her team for doing that audit, and of course to Gina and her team. They do an excellent job. Thank you.
Councilmember Alcantara.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ms. Mariner. Again, fantastic presentation. Remind me, how many years has the BDO been performing the audit for the city of Palmer?
It's an excellent question, one that I will guess on if you don't mind. I think 11. I think this is 11, or is it 16? It's either 11 or 16.
Either 11 or 15?
16. For me, I believe it's about 10 years.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Gina maybe can remember years. They all float together for me. I apologize.
So you already, one more, Mr. Mayor. You already pointed out that we have 8.3 million and change in a unassigned fund balance, so about 56% of a budget year, as you said, 6 to 7 months, kind of parked away if things kind of fall apart. But I did want to ask you about depreciation in the water treatment plant and just depreciation in general. Is it just is it just a percentage number, or does somebody actually look at the facilities every year and say, here's what's coming down? Or is it just, when I see 2.9 million in depreciation in the water and sewer, I go, meaning what?
Sure. So 2 answers to your question. First of all, I want to just clarify that general fund balance isn't necessarily parked away. You don't have a specific policy that requires a set aside for that, and it's really what it represents as working capital. You have to weather. So, for example, if you're doing a construction project, even if it's funded with a loan, you have to pay the money first and then get reimbursed for it. So you have to have some level of general fund balance just for working capital, pay your bills in time before you get reimbursed for grants, those kinds of things. But a lot of our cities do have certain kind of fund balance reserve policies, those kinds of things. You haven't needed those here because you've been able to be careful in your budgeting process, but just something to be aware of. The other is, so the depreciation, you do specific identification on your depreciation. So every asset is individually identified and then depreciated at a rate of its estimated useful life. And you're using industry standards for that. So buildings tend to be, well, it's Alaska, so buildings tend to last longer than 40 years, but typically buildings are somewhere around the 40-year range. I have some clients with buildings that are 80 years because they're really, really sure it's going to last that long. But then vehicles maybe are more like 5 to 15, depending on the vehicle, infrastructure. And the water sewer fund is a little bit harder because you've got water treatment plants, you've got lines. There's a lot of different types of assets. But each asset is assigned a life at the time it's put into service, and that doesn't change going forward. You can change them if you decide, hey, this asset's only going to last us 5 more years, and it has 15 on the, it says we have 15 on the books, you can change that. But that evaluation is done on an item-by-item basis by your team.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Well, thank you very much, Joy.
Yeah, thank you. And pleasure to work with you, Mr. Mayor.
Next, we've got reports. City manager's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Gina and Joy, for those excellent financials, too. And I'm pleased to share several important updates with the council. However, first, I want to acknowledge that I am aware of the recent incident involving the Palmer Police Department. I'm closely monitoring the situation and working with the police chief closely, who will be updating me on the internal administration investigation process. While I will not comment on any personnel matters at this time, I can share that the chief is handling the issue professionally in accordance with all policies and procedures. On to some good news. On Wednesday, August 27th, tomorrow, our new Director of Human Resources starts here at the City of Palmer. Her name is Erica Berry, and I look forward to introducing her to everyone and getting her up to speed on everything Palmer. This marks a very important milestone because for the first time in 11 months, the City of Palmer will have a complete leadership team. And over these past 4 months, I have worked hard to fill all the key positions, and with this full team, we are now better positioned to advance projects and deliver services for our employees and residents. I've also been very actively engaged in community and collaboration efforts throughout the Valley. I recently spoke at the Joint Chamber of Commerce Luncheon at the Alaska State Fair, and this event provided an excellent opportunity to highlight Palmer's progress on all of our infrastructure projects over the past few months, and I also encouraged everyone to spend time in Palmer and shop local. I was especially impressed with the State Fair's new event center, and it was very well done. I encourage everyone to go to the State Fair and take a look at it. Additionally, I attended the monthly Valley Mayors and Managers meeting and toured the Palmer Senior Center with Mayor Carrington. I was pleased by its efficient operations and commitment to serving our senior community. Based on my understandings, I'll be around for some time. Additionally, based on additional public testimony, support from our police department, and council directive, I am working with the city attorney to draft legislation related to electric bicycles. Once this is complete, the proposal will be presented to council for consideration. The intent is to provide a clear guidance for the public and support enforcement efforts. And while this type of legislation is common in other municipalities, it will be new to Palmer and tailored to meet the needs of our community. My ongoing effort to improve downtown parking while being mindful of taxpayer funds is producing excellent results. The latest solution, which included organizing the pavilion parking area, is now complete and has created 23 new designated public parking spaces. What's really great about this project is that this location was previously designated as public parking anyways, but it lacked actual marked stalls. So people were parking however they wanted to. By adding some paint and striping, we now have clearly defined spaces for people that are already in use today. And it was just finished this morning. And as part of this work, we reviewed our ADA parking counts and found that the downtown core had more ADA spaces than was required. So by aligning with ADA standards, we converted some of the surplus spaces to general parking while maintaining all required accessible spots. In total, between all of our projects, we have added 50 public spaces downtown for the general public to use. Importantly, these changes will not impact any special events going forward into the future. This is a significant win for residents, businesses, and visitors. And lastly, you may have seen Palmer Fire and Rescue's new pink engine, which was unveiled at the Alaska State Fair. This is the first and only pink engine in the Mat-Su Valley, and I believe 3 in the entire state, making it a very unique and meaningful addition to our department. We are especially grateful to our sponsor who generously donated the funds to have the truck wrapped in pink. And again, I want to thank Saroma for their lovely presentation.
All right. Council have any questions for the manager on her report? Okay. Next is the mayor's report. I had a report in there, and the main event I remembered was last Thursday's when they turned on all the traffic signals down by the fairgrounds and over by Kepler. But is there any questions for me?
Making sure
Councilmember Alcantara.
I know you're looking over here. I just got to make sure the mic's on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your written report, and thank you and City Manager Zirkle for going over to the Senior Center and kind of getting a little bit of a better picture maybe of what's going on there. I really also appreciated your personal context that you included in your report. So I thank you both for going over there and talking with those folks.
Okay, city clerk report. Oh, not this one.
I don't have a report at this time, but if anybody has any questions, I'm certainly willing to answer.
City attorney's report.
Good evening, all.
I have submitted a written report to the council in the packet. This is a summary report on options and laws related to the issue of homelessness. It's located in the published agenda online on pages 195 through 210. This is for suggestions for a comprehensive ordinance package addressing elements of loitering, sleeping on city streets, camping, solicitation, and panhandling, as well as a summary of the U.S. Supreme Court on the Grants Pass findings, and then our recent presidential executive order that came out in the end of July, as well as some sample ordinances from Alaska municipalities and Grants Pass. Grants Pass does have some excellent verbiage. I have a footnote on that on limiting sleeping on city streets. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but I did want to highlight a few things. The presidential order specifically directs federal agencies to prioritize grants from DOJ, HUD, Health and Human Services, and DOT to jurisdictions who are fighting vagrancy by enforcing bans on open drug use, which the city does, loitering, squatting, and urban camping, as well as encouraging tracking and using outpatient treatment. That would be a policy matter for consideration for the city in the future. I also included a table inventory of the City of Palmer's current codes. For example, Palmer Code does address banning loitering, but only for the purposes of prostitution. And another question that I have been asked and addressed in the report is the issue of panhandling or begging solicitation. In general, panhandling is considered a protected freedom of speech issue, and most general panhandling laws have been struck down by courts as unconstitutional, including Anchorage Code 1470-160 on the ban of panhandling. However, cities have been successfully with imposing reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, which would prohibit aggressive solicitation. For example, WSILA has a robust code chapter, WSILA 9.32, which is included with quick links that you can click within the report as well. As a whole, these are just some holistic examples with legally durable elements for policy choices that have been upheld constitutionally for your consideration.
Any questions for the attorney from the council? All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Tudor.
Yeah, thank you. So, question for the attorney. So, are you showing this so we can give you more direction on the type of legislation we might want to see, or is this just kind of an outline showing the direction you're looking to go to present to us? I just want to kind of see where we're at.
With respect, through the mayor, it is a matter of both, I would say. It's a summary of currently where you're at, but I have been in conversations both with council members Graver and Hudson for the sponsorship regarding the anti-camping legislation, and then as well as the city manager who has suggested wanting to make it more robust and with some of the verbiage. So that is in process.
Mr. Mayor, can I do a follow-up?
Yes, continue.
Yeah, thank you. So for some of these things, would you recommend having them be separate piece of legislation? For example, if we want to address, like illegal camping in a vehicle, for example, versus just someone, like just sleeping, outside in an undesignated spot. Would you recommend having those be separate, or can it be together? I'm just trying to think if it is challenged. Is there a best way to do it?
I think a holistic approach and combining them together is the easiest and most comprehensive, particularly since some of those elements are going to be addressed in different sections within code. And then when we're originally drafting it, that way everything can apply appropriately.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for the attorney? Okay. Next, we have audience participation. Council meetings rules protect your right to testify and be heard even if others in the room disagree with you. Council meeting rules also ensure that those attending can express their views if they do not interfere with the rights of others to see and hear the proceedings. At all times, order and decorum will be maintained in keeping with the civility and dignity of the legislative process. Please be respectful during audience participation. No disruption to city business or threats of any kind will be allowed. Individuals who cannot follow these guidelines will be removed. Any threats against others could result in criminal prosecution. please sign in, state your name, and there's 3 minutes per person. So, open audience participation.
And I don't know who's first on the list.
Okay, well, we have a list up there.
We have a list up there.
There's only 2 names.
Okay. Thank you.
Like Steve Odine is first.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members, City Manager Zirkle, and City Attorney Heath. I'm just going to read so I get my 3 minutes with it in, and so I apologize if it just sounds like I'm reading. I'd like to formally introduce myself and provide some background information about the lease lot transfer I have requested. It's item 5 on the agenda today. My name is Steve Odine. I'm the owner of Matsu Valley Avionics here at the Palmer Airport. I've been in aviation since 1987. I'm a certified instrument rated pilot, A&P, IA, and have a degree in aviation technology. And I was recently accepted to the Airport Advisory Commission for Palmer. I've been operating my business at Palmer Airport for almost 4 years. My business provides avionics services as well as aircraft maintenance and repairs. The business is a 145 repair station with the FAA and also an authorized Garmin dealer and service center. It's also family owned and operated. I've been very fortunate to receive so much support for my business, both from Palmer community and the aviation community. I have been a bit surprised and overwhelmed by how quickly my business has needed to grow to meet the demand for services here in Palmer. I'm currently leasing a hangar I am in, and the owner has not been able to commit to future plans for the space. My business has also grown to the point where the existing space is just too small, and I need to find a long-term solution for the stability of my business and the people I employ. My goal is to build a hangar on the existing empty lot next to the hangar I am currently leasing and ensure appropriate working space for my staff and airplanes move in and out, especially during the winter months here in Palmer. Trying to work outside, as you all know, is not only less than ideal but also poses a serious safety concern for my staff and my customers' aircraft given the Palmer winds and weather conditions. For those of you not familiar with my line of business, avionics installations are not typically quick turn jobs, and the aircraft are in my facility for weeks, if not months, at a time. My business is not a flight school or a charter service and does not have any significant contribution to the number of operations at the airport. I have calculated, based on work orders, that my business has contributed approximately 2 flights per week to the airport operations since 2022. I would also like to note that I encourage my customers to pick up and drop off in off hours and weekends so that anybody not based in Palmer is not trying to fly the airspace.
Apparently that's your time.
Yep, I look forward to continued support and collaboration with the community of Palmer. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie, go for it.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Jackie Goforth, and I enjoy your timer. Thank you. I'd like to talk to you and let you know what I told the school board recently. And I congratulated them for their leadership in assuring that the rights of children were protected so that they were only allowing children of the correct gender that they were assigned at birth to go into restrooms and locker rooms. Now that was sued. There was a lawsuit filed by the ACLU because they said it was constitutionally not protected. And that lawsuit failed. It failed recently. So I thank them for their leadership in that, and I thank them for their leadership on the Library Citizens Advisory Committee, because their committee found 7 books were obscene that were in the libraries. That doesn't just mean that they're illegal to put in the hands of children. That means they're obscene. And they found those unanimous. And the committee that was formed by the borough found the same book 2 weeks ago to be obscene by a unanimous vote. And this includes people who are liberal and trained librarians. I also wanted to talk about the incident that happened yesterday. I'm not online, and I don't follow what everybody else says. I make up my own mind. And I did look at the video because I watched it on the Mat-Su Sentinel. And I want you to know that if you take the sound off, it's much more helpful, because having a lot of people who are emotional and speaking seems to mess up the evidence. Okay? And I want to thank you for what you're doing, and that you're not doing anything from an emotion base, and you're waiting for the evidence to come in and find out exactly what occurred, because that's what needs to happen, and that's what an adult would do. And so I thank you for that. The other thing I want to talk about is the budget over at the borough. We were told that they did not have any budget in there for the librarians to go to the conferences or pay the dues to the American Library Association. And I want to ask you also to make sure that we don't pay for that, because the American Library Association is a woke, DEI, LGBTQ, and several states have ended their contracts with them. Unfortunately, I found in the borough budget that there is a line item in there for conference fees and dues. And so no matter what people tell you, you have to do research, otherwise it's not the truth, and people wonder. The borough is trying to pass a 7-cent tax a gallon on gas right now, and they wonder why people are upset, and it's because the income tax was a temporary tax put on in 1913 for the First World War. Oh, there's my time. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else for audience participation? Delaney Johnson.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't get my name on the list.
That's all right.
Thank you, members of the council, mayor. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. And if I could just, I got a number of little things. First of all, I wanted to say great job on the audit. Nice to see that there wasn't findings. I always appreciate, you have a phenomenal finance director, so a shout out to her. And I remember when I became mayor, there was 3 weeks of reserve. So 6 months looks pretty good. Also that the airport, whatever small amount of money there that didn't quite balance, that's not even close to what we were running at one time. So the airport is doing very well. Also, good job on additional parking, which is not easy to do, and it's appreciated and noted. I wanted to just speak about a little bit about the Sister City program, a little bit more, since there's a number of potential mayors here sitting at the table, and what an important role it is for the mayor and the city council. And what I wish that we had in Seroma was more representation from the city. You saw a lot of sister schools, 35 years, and most of the representation was from the schools. When I actually hosted the mayors, 3 mayors and their wives, and a few city officials, not too many, a small delegation comparatively, in 2015. But it's quite a sign of respect. And while Seroma High does a great job supporting all of the different sister organizations, the head of this organization and the heart of it really does belong with the city. So I just want to put that out there. I remember when I was running for mayor the first time and was speaking with Mayor Carte, and he wanted to hear from me. What do you think about the Sister City program? And he actually went over and it was kind of like, well, that could be your second job after you get done with being mayor. You can go over and teach English in Seroma, which he did for 3 years. Anyway, the relationship is really vital. It's a wonderful program, and I hope you will continue to fund it yearly. And remember that whoever gets elected in this next this next election. Lastly, if, and it might be a state role, so please let me know, but I know there's a sign that should be fixed at the airport, and it says Randy Thom Flight Service Station, but it just says Palmer Municipal Airport. So it would be great if we could get the Warren, and then it's Warren, well, it's Warren, but it's with quotes, then Bud, then quotes, then Woods Airport. So if we could get those both in there so we get both of their names on the sign, that would be great. And with that, I would also like to let all of you know that I'm happy to come anytime the city council. I know you have a spot on the agenda, and I've been remiss in not being here. But I'm happy to be here anytime if anyone would like to have me come and talk about any kind of legislation. And I'm also, of course, available if anybody would like to, have any kind of conversation at all. And thank you for doing it. But my heart, of course, is here with the city council. I forget how much I just love local government. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for audience participation?
Good evening. May I turn this away? Because my wife tells me that my voice projects very well all by itself.
Well, it helps for recording for leaders.
Oh, my apologies. I'll use it.
What was your name, sir?
My name is Nicholas, or Nick Opegard, and I'm very pleased to be here to meet many new faces and people in the community. By way of background, I've been living in Alaska since 1972. I've been a school teacher, a pilot for many, many years, a professional pilot, and a business owner supplying services to rural Alaska for many years. I'm here to talk about your, I think, most valuable asset in the business community here, and that's your airport. The airport at Palmer, I think, is one of its greatest assets. I personally have invested already over $2 million and will be putting $5.5 million into a structure that I'm building on the airport. If you drive out Evergreen Way onto the ramp, that big blue carbuncle building that's going up there is a building that is being constructed in 2 phases. The second phase will have it 468 feet long by 75 feet deep. It's there for the housing of both privately owned and commercially operating businesses. The aviation community is not new to any of you. In fact, some of you have been either directly or indirectly involved in it for many, many years. There isn't an industry, a valuable industry in this state that doesn't have a need and enjoy both transportation of people and cargo. And whether they be fighting fires, as is done off of your airport, or the tourism industry, the agricultural industry. Why did I pick Palmer Airport? I had built some buildings, some hangars on the Birchwood Airport previously. But my experience up here has been a warm and positive one. My daughter learned to fly at the Palmer Airport 25 years ago. And I find that the people up here and the setting is the best in the state. I don't live here, I apologize for that. I live in Eagle River, but we're going to sell next year, and we may well end up right here. The airport provides jobs, and not only the gentleman that spoke earlier, but many other high-paying, good jobs. I'm negotiating right now with a company in the southeastern United States that wants to use the building that I'm constructing, part of it, for high-tech aviation support. Their business would not increase traffic here significantly, but would provide about 12 jobs on the airport and families looking to be here. Sounds like my time has run out, but I want to thank you. I think that this town is progressive. I think the airport's a great asset, and I appreciate all of you listening to all of us.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for audience participation? Okay, we'll close audience participation. Now we have public hearings. Resolution number 25-017, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contractual agreement for the Palmer Police Department Dispatch Center, 9G base, to provide police dispatch services for the Chickaloon Tribal Justice Department for a 12-month period. We will go ahead and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this resolution can come forward. Okay, seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public hearing. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, questions? Councilmember Hudson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just moving my microphone closer,
Oh.
but I'll say something though. I really think this is going to be a really good thing for the city of Palmer. I'm really excited about this contract coming forward, just to grow our autonomy, and I just really think this is a step in the right direction. So I want to thank Chickaloon and Palmer for working together and coming to this agreement with this contract. So thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Alcantara?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I echo the comments of Councilmember Hudson. And I did appreciate the presentation from our dispatch supervisor last time. And I also appreciate the fact that Commissioner Cockrell wrote a letter of support for this idea. And I think it's a good one. Thanks.
All right. Any other comments? All right. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll for this resolution. Oh, sorry.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Graver,
Yes.
Mayor Carrington,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
Councilmember Erby,
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
and Councilmember Alcantara.
Yes.
Next, we have resolution number 25-038, authorizing the city manager to accept and appropriate funds in the amount of $50,000 from the Matsu Borough for the purpose of funding the airport equipment operator position at the Warren Bud Woods Palmer Municipal Airport. We'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to comment on this resolution can come forward. Okay, seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public hearing. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any comments or discussion? Councilmember Alcantara.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just thank you. Just real quick. I think it was mentioned by Representative Johnson, but is it Warren Bud Woods? I mean, I remember his family and his younger kids well, but is it supposed to just be Bud in quotations? It's supposed to be Warren Bud Woods, not the entire piece in quotations, I don't believe, but that's how it's written out here in the resolution. I'm just curious. See a head nod, I don't know.
Well, I think at least part of what I remember is that the flight center has a name attached to it, as well as the airport has it. So there's Randy Tom, and I don't know if the manager has clarity. More clarity.
Bud is the only one that's supposed to be in quotations.
Thank you. And Mr. Mayor, one last thing.
Yes, continue.
Thank you. Just on page 232, just to make sure that nothing accidentally gets sent to the city of Wasilla, need to make sure that zip code's changed to 99645 on page 232 for city of Palmer. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions from the council? Yes. Is that Deputy Mayor Tudor?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to say to the Matsu Borough for their support for the Palmer Airport. It means a lot. I just want to say thank you to them.
Yes, it's a good good example of working together. All right, Madam Clerk, if you could go ahead and call the roll for Resolution 25-038.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
Mayor Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Graver,
Yes.
Councilmember Irby,
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
It's passed.
Next, we have action memorandum number 25-070, authorize the city manager to purchase portable radios for an amount not to exceed $45,019.04, utilizing funds awarded through the Homeland Security SHSP grant program and the balance of funds from the fire department operating budget. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Deputy Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Graver,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Irby,
Yes.
and Councilmember Alcantara.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Next is action memorandum number 25-072, authorize the city manager to purchase and have installed emergency warning and vehicle accessories from Alaska Safety, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $21,375, utilizing funds budgeted in the adopted 2024 capital expense budget. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve. Second.
All right, is there any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Mayor Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara,
Yes.
Councilmember Graver,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
and Councilmember Irby.
Yes.
Unanimous.
All right. Next is action memorandum number 25-073, authorizing the lease assignment and amendment for Palmer Municipal Airport Lease 23-001. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any questions or comments from council? All right, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mayor Carrington,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara,
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Irby,
Yes.
Councilmember Graver,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
Passed.
Next is action memorandum number 25-074, authorizing the lease assignment and amendment for Palmer Municipal Airport Lease 17-006. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any questions or comments from council? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mayor Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Irby,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Graver,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
and Councilmember Alcantara.
Yes.
Passed.
All right. And next is action memorandum number 25-075, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into a new lease agreement with Matsu Valley Avionics LLC on Palmer Municipal Airport Lease Lot 27. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
Just a
Councilmember Alcantara.
quick question / comment, just for my own, just a curious person for my own edification. If somebody here knows, has the lease rate always been this 9 cents a square foot, like forever and ever, or is that sort of a new number?
Madam Manager.
That is a lease rate that's been around for quite some time. We will be looking at modifying those rates here in the future.
Thank you.
I would say, I do remember them down at like a nickel. But that would have been maybe 15, 20 years ago. Okay. Yes, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mayor Carrington?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tudor?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Erby?
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara?
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper?
Yes.
Councilmember Graver?
Yes.
Unanimous and passed.
All right, we have no unfinished business, no new business. Record of items placed on the table? None. All right. Audience participation? Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Audience participation.
Actually,
Sorry, what was your name again, sir?
Nick Opegard, and I'm fudging a little. I'm up here to add a comment I wasn't able to get in earlier.
That's fine.
And I have to say this, I asked the question, why Palmer? And I didn't really get into the good reasons that I have. And not only this beautiful setting, my wife and I have been visiting friends like the Sherrids, Max and Dorothy, before they passed since the late 1960s, and we have roots here. But I think that Palmer's very progressive. I think you are very responsible for much of that. I think that you have some of the friendliest people in the state. I prefer not to go to Anchorage anymore. And you have excellent department staff, people I've been working with at the building department, in the Public Works Department, and I think you have a knowledgeable, effective airport manager. And I didn't get a chance to say that earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for audience participation? Okay, see no one come forward, we'll close audience participation. Council member comments. Well, let's go ahead and start online. So, Deputy Mayor Tudor.
I think Mr. Mayor, I'll keep this kind of short, but I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there tonight, especially for the rest of the delegation being there. But I wanted to share one of the most impactful moments I had in Roma, and this was when I was at the mayor's house. We had a small barbecue with the mayor, the vice mayor, their spouses, and the Johnsons were there. And after the barbecue was over, we went inside the mayor's house, and he could not wait to show us this photo album he had. And his face just lit up, and you could just hear the excitement in his voice as he showed us this photo album of pictures from when he went to Palmer back in the early 1980s. He absolutely loved it. He had, I mean, not just photos of things like the state fair and around Palmer, but he kept leaves that he had found that had some fall colors in them, and he even kept the box that the roll of film came in that he bought at Cars. I mean, it's just amazing. And so if you want to see how important this Citrus City program is, that's it right there. It impacts the lives of those who are able to be participants in it, and we should definitely continue to support it. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Cooper.
I also apologize for not being there. I'm stuck in an airport right now. I'm in waiting. So anyway, I just hope everybody has a good rest of the weekend, a good Labor Day weekend night. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am seeking council support to propose an amendment to the airport budget for the 2026 fiscal year. aiming to increase our airport lease rate from 9 cents to 12 cents per square foot. This adjustment is essential to align our fees with neighboring airports and address the growing concerns from our constituents. By increasing our rate to 12 cents per square foot, we position ourselves competitively within the regional market, ensuring our airport remains attractive to potential tenants. We have received an influx of complaints regarding the friendly neighborhood flying atmosphere. While community engagement is valuable, it's crucial that our airport operates as a professional and sustainable facility. By adjusting our lease rates, we can invest in necessary infrastructure improvements and maintain a high standard of operations. A modest increase in lease rates will generate additional revenue, allowing us to reinvest in the airport's development. This includes enhancing facilities, improving services, and ensuring the airport meets the evolving needs of our aviation community. Increasing our lease to 12 cents per square foot is a strategic move to align with regional standards, address tenant concerns, and promote sustainable growth of our airport. I respectfully request council support in bringing this increase forward at the September 23rd council meeting to be voted on by the council and to be put in effect, if passed, when the 2026 budget is passed.
I'll second that.
Mr.
All
Mayor,
right.
may I continue?
Yes, Councilmember Hudson.
Thank you. Rigid parking mandates have created significant barriers for new businesses and existing buildings to be repurposed or adapted for evolving commercial needs. Surrounding cities have recognized that downtown districts thrive when parking is treated flexibly. Private parking can be provided by the property owner, while the remainder of downtown parking is available to the public, allowing visitors to easily access multiple businesses without restrictions. Maintaining strict uniform parking requirements stifles innovation, it limits the types of businesses that can locate downtown, and it prevents property owners from fully utilizing their buildings in ways that benefit the community. By removing these prescriptive requirements, the city will empower entrepreneurs, encourage investment in downtown properties, and foster a vibrant, accessible, and economically healthy downtown core. This change aligns with modern planning practices that prioritize flexibility, walkability, and the shared use of public parking, ensuring that downtown remains a dynamic and inviting destination for both residents and visitors. I am asking the City Council for support to amend City Code to be brought forward in legislation to amend City Code 17.64.050 to remove the current parking requirements for restaurants, bars, and retail spaces, specifically the requirement of 1 parking space per 5 seats for restaurants and bars, and 1 parking space per 500 square feet for retail spaces of all types.
I would support that being brought forward.
Okay. Councilmember Hudson?
Yes, that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you have a specific meeting for that one, in mind for that one as well?
Yes, the September 23rd meeting. I believe I did the math correct, and that would be enough time to submit both of those.
We'll be in contact.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I would like to ask the manager, don't we have a parking study that has been started?
We have a parking downtown pedestrian plan study that, yes, that has been started, but that is a separate issue from actually amending city code and our current 1 through 5 for restaurants and retail. I will get to work on this right away, but there are some other things in the hopper, so if I could have possibly some leeway, possibly into October to get this presented, it would be an ordinance change, so we'd have to introduce it. But it would be a very tight timeline to get it onto the September 23rd. That would be, I'd have to have this legislation through the entire approval process, working with the city attorney by September 4th. So coming into the long weekend, I would appreciate an extended time frame.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes, I would be okay with that. Councilwoman Graver?
I would as well.
Thank you.
And I guess I would also comment, as far as changing airport rate, to me, that would be something that would be part of our budget, which should be coming to us in October. But I mean, I think this is good that we're highlighting it for our manager. But
That
I
is
think it should be
correct,
part
and
of the
I've had
budget.
conversations with John about adjusting the lease rates. He's supportive of it, we're all supportive of it. Again, we also have to keep in mind that there are contracts in place that we have to honor and abide by those contract terms, but we certainly are bringing forth a budget that would reflect higher lease rates.
Councilmember Alcantara, council comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank the Soroma delegation for great presentation tonight. Definitely made me long for making a decision to go there in the future because it looked fantastic. I was happy that our deputy mayor was able to go and represent us very well. And I know it's certainly not an expensive ticket to get to Japan, so I know it was a job well done, and I hope Mr. Tudor's feeling better tonight. Also thank them for their souvenirs that they handed out to us tonight. That's very cool to get a lot of great things that I get to go home and present to my daughter, who was a member of the group that went over in June. And speaking of that, we'll be hosting a Soroma student beginning September 4th for about 2.5 weeks, I believe. So she is the same student that my daughter was able to stay with in Soroma, and then she gets to come here to Alaska a little late, in my opinion, because they missed the fair. But, you know, there's other great things to do in Palmer all year round, and certainly in September. So I want to thank those who spoke tonight. You know, the incident that occurred at the fair, I'm not going to dwell into that or think about name. I'll just say that I know the officer just months ago was applauded and heralded for great de-escalation techniques in a different event that happened in our city. So I appreciate the fact that it'll be, you know, investigated and we'll move forward. But I want to thank our city manager for the great work that she's done in just 4 short months that she's been here, not just getting the team put together, but all the parking spots that she mentioned. You know, I know there's some things in the works, but sometimes it takes a person spearheading those to move it forward. So I think that is a job well done, and I appreciate the work that she's been doing. I do want to say that the folks that spoke regarding airport pieces tonight, I agree with them all wholeheartedly that Palmer is beautiful and friendly. And, you know, I spent 4 years in Eagle River, and it wasn't quite a prison sentence, but it was, I was very, very happy to come back to Palmer 21 years ago. And I can understand. I look forward to seeing you out here living in Palmer in short order. So thank everybody for being here tonight, and hope everybody has a good couple of weeks.
Councilmember Graber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. We had some great presentations and great audience participation, and I'm glad we were able to move forward with some things with the airport and a few other items. I know it's been addressed, and I just wanted to say about the regrettable event that took place at the State Fair on Sunday that I think the wisest approach for us at the moment is to refrain from drawing any conclusions until all the facts are presented, and that I have no doubt that if an investigation is necessary, that the process will proceed with the highest level of integrity and professionalism. So, thank you.
Councilmember Irby.
I don't have any comments tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. And I, too, would also like to thank the Soroma group for their presentation, and then our auditors as well. That was very good. And we'll be adjourned at 8:17.
2017.
That's what my clock.
I know, that's why.